Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the Spotlight Games podcast. My name is Patrick, and today we are going to be talking about the Game Awards. We're going to talk about all the winners, the losers, everything in between. We're also going to be talking about the biggest announcements that jumped out to us from the Game Awards, and we've been playing some new games, so we're going to talk about that as well. And as always, joining me for this conversation is my sweet dumpster boy, my beefy boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good, Patrick. I'm doing great. We made it through the Game Awards, that almost 4 hour long slog, but guess what? We're here.
We're here.
We're here.
We're going to talk all about the Game Awards. I wasn't able to watch, but I did go back. I wasn't able to watch live, but I was able to go back, watch through all of it. So I'm excited to talk all about it. But before we do any of that, Cayman, we have some housekeeping to discuss. Let's get this house in order because we have a lot of video game stuff to talk about, because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod, or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod, which is where we are right now. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman, it's Tuesday.
It is
13th
indeed
of December, which means we have a new episode of Trash Miss out for Safe Trash Cinema. Tell the folks at home about all that jolly cheer they can get into this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're keeping the Trashmas season alive, the spirit alive, while we cover the 1997 movie called Jack Frost. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's not the one starring Michael Keaton. This is not your mama's snowman movie. This is a very horny film about a killer mutant snowman who's a serial killer who's been turned into a snowman named Jack Frost.
So I think I have a confession to make. I'm not on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought the bad Jack Frost was the Michael Keaton Jack Frost.
No. So here's the thing. One is trash cinema. One is a bad movie. So you look at it like that. The Michael Keaton version is just a really bad movie. Jack Frost is trash cinema and a fantastic movie. Okay, maybe not a fantastic movie, but it is a movie, and I love it. And the two people on the show loved it. And honestly, I think everyone who listens is going to love it. It's currently streaming on Tubi. So if you haven't listened yet and you do want to watch the movie beforehand, not only can you see Jack Frost on Tubi, but you can also see the sequel, Jack Frost 2, Return or Revenge of the Mutant, or the Killer Mutant Snowman. That is the name of the sequel.
Return or Revenge of the Killer Snowman.
I'm all over the place tonight.
No, I think it's a beautiful title.
Haven't settled in yet. And I think here's the big thing. Here's what people have been asking for. They always hear me talk about Sid. They always hear me talk about my wife. And then people are like, but does she even exist? Guess what? Tune into this episode and find out.
She's the dumpster girl makes her debut.
She does. It's actually quite funny. She was fantastic to have on the show. And she'll be back in the future, I have a feeling. She's got a couple movies she wants to cover herself and make us do. So I'm excited.
Do you think there'll ever come a day, Cayman, where we release the lost files of that one episode she actually did that never saw the light of day?
Dude,
that I also wasn't on?
Yeah, I honestly don't know if that audio
if we even have that anymore.
It's probably saved on my hard drive somewhere, and I'm terrified that it is. Because that was belligerent. And if you ever want to hear the lost tape of one episode we never published, we did an entire episode, never published it because it was so bad. Because we were all on a lot of things, and there was a lot of alcohol involved. And I don't know if a coherent thought came out of any singular person on that recording, but maybe one day we'll set up a Patreon, and whoever it'll be like a Wu-Tang thing where we hold like an auction. For like one lucky listener gets access to this one episode that never got aired.
I'm not about NFTs in the slightest, but if we could sell this to just one singular person, I think it'd be worth it. Cayman, let's jump into the show. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Last week we had a lot to discuss, whether it was Pokemon, all these other things we were playing that I somehow have forgotten. But we've all been playing new games. We have nothing but new stuff to talk about from
It's
last
true.
week. So, Cayman, I want to throw it to you first. What have you been playing, my friend?
I have been playing Ghostwire Tokyo, which I have a feeling that no one out there remembers this game.
When you texted me that you were playing this, because I started it earlier this year, and then I just got like this really big hankering to play Jedi Fallen Order, so I played that instead, like immediately. And I was like, wait a second, that was this year. And I Googled it. That game came out at the end of March.
Yep. So, I mean, look, in its defense, it's rolling off the heels. Immediately, it's rolling off the heels of Horizon Forbidden West. It's coming off. People are still in love with Elden Ring and really grinding through it. Honestly, I think I was playing Elden Ring when this game came out.
Definitely.
And so it just kind of got shuffled away. And then, and that's the issue with video games, right? Is what's hot today could be forgotten tomorrow. It really just depends on what's there and like what impact it has. And Ghostwire Tokyo came out. It got pretty good, decent reviews. I think it was like around seven
I
and a
think
half.
so. 7s and 8s, like in
Sevens
that
and eights,
window.
nothing. It wasn't bad enough that it got like a lot of media time because people were shitting on it,
Right.
but it wasn't good enough, especially coming immediately after Horizon and Elden Ring, for people to be like, "Oh my god, you have to play this game." So it just existed. So Black Friday though on PSN, they had it on sale for $20. So I snagged a copy and was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna see if this game is any good." And honestly, this game is a 7.5, 8.
Yeah.
Like, so here's the thing, like the combat in the game, I do not like.
Okay. What is the style of it? It's first person, right?
It's first person. You basically, so combat wise, you have a couple options. You have a wind option that's very rapid fire, does low damage. You have a water option, and this is all like hand sign stuff where you're like
Oh,
shooting.
okay. So it's like magic, kind of.
Yeah, you have a water option, and it's more of like a shotgun blast, so it does way more damage up close, but you really don't because there's no, I don't know, really can dodge in this game. You have to like parry, and so like it's not really that practical. And then you have a fire option that's like shooting a rocket launcher. Does like crazy damage, but you only get like 6 shots before you have to refill, and you don't get a lot of like spirit energy to refill that.
Okay.
So, and then you have a bow and arrow. The bow and arrow, you rarely get ammunition for. It does a lot of damage, but it's really good for like when you're stealthing around. Like it's really nice to be able to use something like that if you
And like,
don't
what are
want
you
to do.
fighting? So you got this ghost magic, but what are you doing with like?
You're essentially you're fighting spirits. Like,
Interesting. Okay.
so the premise of the game is it's set in Shibuya, and there's like a rapture of sorts. So there's this enemy called the Hanya because he wears a Hanya mask, and he has stolen everyone's souls. At this point in the game, about 6 hours, a little over 6 hours in, I'm not 100% sure what the purpose of this is, or like what the purpose of the game is, or like story wise. Basically, you are going up against Hanya. You're trying to fight, take him down. You're trying to save your sister in the process. And you also have like a spirit that is inhabiting your body who's trying to assist you because they're also trying to take him down. A little convoluted, but it's all right. The cool thing about the game though is that the exploration is fun, and that's what's
Okay.
keeping me hooked on this. There's really cool little side quests you can do that are all about like Japanese lore and yokai and like ghosts and Japanese demons and all these little things. So you're doing all these really cool, interesting, very folklore heavy side quests. They're very short and sweet. So you're doing that at the same time. You're like, you'll go through. You'll be cleansing spirits, saving spirits. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, the game looks really good, and it's like a blend of horror and like sci-fi, but not really sci-fi. Honestly, it's like a blend of like action and horror together. Light on scares, but like really builds a really good atmosphere, which makes exploring a desolate Shibuya really cool
Yeah.
because
Oh,
there's just
sure.
piles of clothes laying around everywhere, and like everyone's gone. And the good thing about the combat is there's not much of it.
Okay.
So that's honestly been kind of the highlight for me, is like I'm really enjoying exploring this like completely empty Shibuya. And it's so cool to see like all these neon lights, and it's pitch black, and there's just street lights, and very spooky, great atmosphere. And there's not a lot of combat. So that part, which is like the big negative for me, is I'm not enjoying the combat. So the fact there's not a lot of it has actually made me enjoy the game more. And a lot of collectibles and stuff. So I would say right now, like I'm still playing it. I don't know how long I'll last. Especially with the fact that when this episode releases on podcast, the Witcher update will be
Mm,
live.
yep.
And that I am so fucking excited to play The Witcher again, because god damn, it looks so good.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like, look, this is a nice little carryover. I'm gonna keep putting time into it, and maybe something will latch on, and I'll be like, oh hell yeah, I'm really into this. But as of right now, I'm gonna say, like, look, if your backlog is empty and you don't really have anything you really want to play right now because it's kind of empty, the seasons we're about to pick back up in January, February, but you're looking for something to play over the holidays. You've got no backlog left, and you want to play something different, something a little spooky. I would say give it a shot. Like, you might really like it. But for me, like, I don't know. I think this is a good like holdover game until I play something more my speed. So Patrick,
Sure.
you on the other hand
Yes.
have played way more than one game.
Yes. I've been jumping.
So why don't you tell me, tell the
Mm. Oh
audience,
yeah. Not
scream
gonna
into
rat at
the
you.
abyss and tell us what you've been playing, Patrick.
So I want to start with Forspoken. So at the Game Awards, they announced that available now, live now, buy
Yeah.
now on PlayStation 5 specifically. Forspoken has a demo out. And Forspoken a year ago was like one of my most anticipated games. And like the more we've seen it, it just like I've kind of been losing a little bit of interest. But then this demo is out, and I'm like, great. This is the moment of truth for me.
Yeah.
So I download this. I'm really excited to play it. And I am walking away from it almost, I don't want to say almost certainly, but I'm definitely like not as excited about this game as I once was, which is really unfortunate. And I'll tell you why. So I think for the most part, this game has a lot of potential. Granted, I played about 2.5 hours tops in this demo. It's pretty short. It's like a couple little missions and then like a big boss battle, and that's it. There's not a whole lot of story in it. It's very much just like this is what the game feels like. It's very much like a tutorial with like a little bit of gameplay afterward. But there are two main things that happen in this demo that really kind of killed my excitement.
Mm-hmm.
One, the combat is just not very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And two, the protagonist is so annoying, Cayman.
Yeah.
It's one of these protagonists where like every 5 seconds, like if you're changing your magic or you're doing anything, she is commenting on literally everything. Like, so the main version of combat, it's magic based, similar to Ghostwire, it sounds like, honestly, but it's a third person action game. You have two like trees of magic essentially. One of the trees is melee, where like you conjure this like fire sword and you're like swinging this fire sword. And there are like a couple different versions of the fire sword. You can like just get like fire fists, you can get like a bigger sword. So I mean essentially it's like you have a sword, but it presents itself as magic. And then on the other side of it is like basically bullets. Like you shoot things out of your hands. Like there's like a really fast one. There's like a one that kind of feels like a shotgun. And like I quickly realized, oh, this is just their way of kind of making it seem like it's different, but really it's just melee and shooting weapons, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which like is fine. But the problem is, so there are these two trees of magic that you can switch between. But in both trees of magic, so that's your attacking style of magic, they also have what's called support magic. And what support magic does, you hear support magic, you assume that's like, oh, you're healing and you're like buffing, like in Pokemon, you're like increasing your speed or you're decreasing their attack or whatever that might be. But support is really just their way of saying like it supports your way of killing them. And what I mean by that is there's like some of the support magic is like bind them. Some of the support magic is like summon a turret, essentially, like these things that will support you in your attacking. It's not like support in the way I described. It's like, which is like interesting, but it's just so much is happening at once. So like I do wonder if in the full version of this game, you've been playing for a couple hours, you really understand like the pros and the cons of each of these like spells. Maybe it feels a lot better then, but like from the little bit that I played, I was just like having trouble even understanding what most of them do, let alone like how to use them.
Yeah.
And especially on the support magic, it basically has like, it has a cooldown every time you use it. So like, whereas usually like if you're shooting a gun, like you have a round of clips and then you reload it, it's like one and done for like 15 to 30 seconds. So it's like this weird thing of like, okay, I'm going to do this spell and then I'm going to quickly change to the other one and then do that and then quickly change the other one and do that, and I'm going to change to the other tree and like do all of those spells. And like, so I'm just very much, it's like, okay, do this one switch, 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 instead of, so like it just doesn't it doesn't flow very well.
That doesn't seem.
And it's a demo. Maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. Maybe in the aspect or the context of the game, maybe it'll feel a lot better. But I felt myself really fighting with it. And then on top of that, the enemies in this game weirdly like blend in. And I don't think that's on purpose. I think this is like an art direction design flaw where oftentimes I'm fighting these people and I'm genuinely trying to find them. But they're like 5 feet in front of me. I'm like, I don't know if it's just my shitty eyes or if it's just designed poorly, but I'm like, I'm getting hit from these directions and I'm looking in the direction I'm getting hit and I don't see where you are. And like, I get closer, and once they're like right above me, I'm like, oh, there you are.
See, I had that issue with Far Cry 6.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I
Where I
never
was
played
just
6.
where I was just constantly like what is happening at any time around me, because I'm getting hit from all sorts of different directions. I don't know where the fuck anyone is, and then you end up dying, and you're like, oh, well, this is fucking dumb.
Yeah. It's
That's
bizarre.
So here's my question, and
yeah,
I opted to put more time into Ghostwire Tokyo
Mhm.
instead of the Forspoken demo, though I do have it downloaded, so I can give it a shot to see what I think. But do you think the game releases in February? It's
Yep.
December. Do you think that this could potentially be like a beta build? That
It could be.
this isn't ambivalent of the entire game. Do you think that it's like that there's going to be a moment where it's like, here's like like feedback, like we're taking feedback in on things that we can fix. We've got a couple months to still make that happen. And do you think this game gets delayed again?
Well, so I hope that it's the first one. And I think the reason that you might be right that it's the first one and is that you don't really see demos much anymore, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, 100%.
so I almost feel like maybe this is their version of a beta because they've been getting feedback in like their play tests and things just haven't been working super well. Potentially, this is all conjecture. So maybe them
Sure.
releasing this is their way of being like, hey, let's hear from the people and see what they think. And if the feedback is just resoundingly negative, I bet they let it cook for a little bit. I hope at least.
Well, I
Because
mean,
I do
from
go
what
ahead.
I've seen online from the online discourse about the demo, rarely has any of it been positive.
Yeah. And
So
I think there is so much potential. Like I think the world seems really cool.
yeah.
They don't really show you much about it in the demo, but like it's just I'm very interested still in this world. I just don't, unless reviews come out and they're like this blew me away, really surprised me, works great, all those things, I'll consider. But like as of right now, if it was coming out next week, I wouldn't be buying it. I would definitely be waiting to see, and like I would wait for like someone in our audience or someone to be like, hey, you need to play this game. Because the demo didn't impress me. Like I really, really hoped it would. Because one other last thing too. It seems petty to complain about this, but the menus are like the worst menus I've ever seen in a video game. There's like this really weird, it almost feels like the menus were built in Canva. And if you don't know Canva is like what we use to build all the art for this show. It's just like it's just this really weird, like it's hard to navigate, and like everything is really weirdly distorted, but like by design. I don't know. It's hard to describe without a visual. I should have like taken a screenshot or something, but it's like these kinds of games, you spend a lot of time in the menus. And like if the menu looks like dog shit and like is hard to navigate, like even to put aside the aesthetic problem I have with it, it just doesn't feel good in the menu. Like if that's a problem, that's going to really hamper a game like this. But
yeah, no, I agree.
we'll wait and see. I've also been playing Vampire Survivors and Immortality. Came in because we're already 20 minutes in. I want to ask you, which one do you want to hear about? Immortality or Vampire Survivors?
I'm honestly more interested in Immortality because I just
Okay,
keep hearing everyone say that Vampire Survivors is a masterpiece and everyone has to play it. And now
sure.
it's on mobile, so I have no excuse to not play it now. So
Yeah. I will really quickly say
Mhm.
I've both played Vampire Survivor on Steam Deck and on mobile. In my opinion, I did 2 runs on mobile. It is a vastly inferior
Okay,
mobile
then never mind
version.
then. Never
Yeah,
mind.
it just doesn't feel nearly as good as it would
Guess I'm
on.
gonna have to bust out the old
I
Xbox.
guess so. But so Immortality, if you don't know, Immortality is a game that it is entirely FMV, full motion video. And the premise of this video game is there's this actress called Marissa Marcel who has died or has gone missing or something. I forget what they say in the trailers, but the gameplay of this game, it is unlike any game I've ever played, and that's I think why I'm so high on it. It's similar to last year, the Forgotten City, where it's like I've just never played a game like this. I've never played a game like Immortality, and I'm having a blast. I'm playing it with Rose, but the way that the game works, the menu and like it's essentially like an editing room floor of a film. So it starts off, it gives you this clip. It's like an interview clip, Johnny Carson style, where this actress is talking to an interviewer. And the clips can vary from 5 seconds to 5 minutes. And it gives you full control. You can go like frame by frame, you can fast forward, rewind. And as you go through, you can pause at any moment and click on most things on the frame. And when you click on those things, it'll take you to a new clip. And so essentially what you're doing is you're going clip to clip and like piecing together this story and trying to figure out what happened. And the cool thing about it is it takes place, there's like 3 different time periods. There's like a movie in what feels like the 60s, there's a movie in like the 70s, and there's a movie like in the 90s. And it's the same actress that's in all these 3 movies. And like I don't want to get spoilery at all, honestly, because there are things like I still don't even really understand about the story. Like we haven't uncovered all of the things, but there have been like revelations that we have had while playing this game of like game mechanics specifically that have blown my mind. We're playing this game and we're going through these clips and we're like jumping from clip to clip, and we realize there's like a new thing you can do that it doesn't tell you can do. And it's happened multiple times. And it's just this like sense of wonder that we have, like, oh wow, so now we need to go back and like look at all of the clips that we've seen so far and see if we can like figure out this other thing. Or and like it's so much so to the point where like I have a notebook out and I'm taking notes.
Oh wow.
Like this game, it's so cool. And it's like it's I'm interacting with it in a way I've never interacted with any video game before. And that, I think, for some, I mean, I've been playing video games for 30 years almost. 25, let's say. I probably didn't start playing until I was like 5 or 6. And to say, like, to experience something that I've never experienced before, but like truly, like that, not like, oh, God of War is unlike anything I've ever played because of how good it is. Like, I've never played a game like this. And that's just a really, like, maybe that's part of the reason why I'm so high on it. But it's currently on Game Pass. It's also on mobile, apparently, because it's published by Netflix, I believe. So you can play it on a phone. But I would definitely recommend doing it on a console if you can. I don't remember. I meant to look right before. I don't remember if it's on PlayStation. It might be, but it's definitely on Game Pass. That's how we're playing it.
You know, it's interesting that you posit this game in that light. I think the only time maybe the last time I had that moment where I was playing a game and I was like, this is unlike anything I've ever played
Don't you do it.
before. Bulletstorm.
You son of a bitch.
I got
I
him
knew it.
again.
Got him.
Got him again.
You know, if what you say is true, Cayman, if that is a true sentiment, I will play Bulletstorm at some point.
Bulletstorm's just it's just so dumb. It's such a dumb fucking game, man. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's so short though, and it's on PlayStation Plus right now. Just
Sure. I mean, I don't have an excuse.
Play it,
I don't have an excuse. But with Immortality, if go watch a trailer. Just go to YouTube, Immortality game. Watch trailer, see if it grabs you. If it grabs you, don't look up anything, just play the game. If it doesn't, well, fuck me, I guess. I'll just go jump off a bridge. But right now, it's not going to be my game of the year, but it very well could be top 5, like strongly. If it continues down this path that Rose and I are having. Because yeah, it's really cool. I definitely recommend checking it out.